Stop using to-do lists.
Come on, stop it!
I know that sounds insane, but hear me out. Because I can prove the very system that you're using to be productive is actually destroying your ability to achieve what matters most. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time checking off tasks on your to-do list actually moved you closer to your biggest life goal? Yeah, I thought so. You're exhausted. You're working harder than ever, checking things off all day long. But here's the brutal truth. You're not actually moving forward, are you? The things that would actually change your life, the big goals, the real breakthroughs, they're still sitting there, untouched. Always tomorrow. The exact same thing happened to Tony Robbins. It was the late 1980s. Tony had already become one of the biggest names in personal development. He was selling out seminars all around the country. His business was making millions of dollars a year. But after a run-in with a bad business partner, Tony found himself millions of dollars in debt. He was months, if not weeks, away from total bankruptcy, and the only choice was a massive breakthrough. Desperate and overwhelmed, Tony turned to one of his personal mentors to help him assess his option. Now, in this meeting, Tony's first instinct was to create an action plan, or in other words, a task list of things to do that he needed to get done. But his mentor stopped in. He said, "You will never find solutions in this mindset. You're focusing on too many things." And then his mentor explained something that would change everything. He told Tony about a concept neuroscientists and cognitive psychologists have been studying for decades: the science of focus through strategic questioning. Here's how it works, and this is absolutely critical. Your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. And whatever you focus on, you feel. Whatever you focus on, you move toward. But here's the key: you cannot directly control your focus. The only way you can direct your focus is through questions, because questions are the steering wheel of the human mind. The moment you ask a question, your brain has to search for an answer. It can't help it. It's automatic. It's hardwired into how you think. Change the question, and you instantly change where your brain goes, what it sees, and what action it takes. Now think about this. Most people wake up every morning, and their brain automatically asks, "What do I need to do today?" And their brain immediately focuses on tasks, activities, busy work. You know this pattern. You live it every day, don't you? And after learning from his mentor, Tony decided to take a completely different approach to his planning. He flew to Fiji alone with just a notebook. When he got there, he started with one specific question. What's the specific result I'm committing to achieving? Not what should I do, but what outcome am I actually creating? Once he knew the result he wanted, he asked himself a second question. Why must this happen? What's my compelling purpose? Not just reasons, but the emotional drive that makes success inevitable. And once he knew the result and his compelling purpose, he asked himself one final question. What's my massive action plan to make it real? Not a to-do list, a strategic roadmap to the outcome. These three questions forced Tony's brain to focus on outcomes instead of activities. And that shift in focus created an entirely different reality. Tony was in Fiji for just 3 days. And in those 3 days, by using strategic focus questioning, Tony was able to ideate, outline, and create an action plan for what would become his most successful event of all time, Date with Destiny. After coming back from Fiji, Tony set his plan into action. This one event single-handedly saved his company from bankruptcy. Since that time, Tony has run 88 Date with Destiny events, selling it out every single year. After the success of Date with Destiny, Tony realized something profound. He had accomplished more in 3 days than most people do in their entire lifetime. So how did he do it? Most people, even successful people, are trapped in what Tony calls activity addiction. Addicted to being busy, addicted to checking boxes, but starving for actual results because they're asking the wrong questions, which creates the wrong outcomes and results in a life that most people don't want. Over the next few years, Tony refined his planning method he used in Fiji into a system he calls the Rapid Planning Method, RPM. And here's where it gets really interesting. In 2019, the Snyder Lab of Genetics at Stanford University studied Tony's methods at one of his events. They found that people using the system experienced a 31% increase in goal achievement compared to traditional time management. But listen to this. 87% reported feeling more fulfilled while accomplishing more, something that wouldn't even be possible with traditional productivity methods. Think about that for a second. More results, more fulfillment at the same time. That's not luck. That's what happens when you rewire how your brain focuses. And once Tony codified his system and started using it deliberately, the results were staggering. His companies exploded into exponential growth. And over the next decade, Tony became a partner or founder in over 110 businesses, generating more than $9 billion in combined annual revenue. He became the advisor that world leaders call presidents, billionaire founders, championship athletes. Not because he works more hours, because he plans differently. And here's what's really extraordinary. RPM didn't just transform Tony's world. It became the secret operating system of the world's highest performers. When Mark Benioff was building Salesforce, he knew surviving in cloud computing required more than great technology. He needed a team that could execute with absolute clarity and speed. Tony taught Mark and his leadership team RPM, and Mark has publicly stated, Tony Robbins and his strategies have been at the core of our culture from the beginning. Without access to Tony and his teachings, Salesforce.com wouldn't exist today. And today, Salesforce is valued at over $37 billion. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest traders in history, manages billions in the markets and calls Tony a human locksmith, someone who knows how to open your mind to larger possibilities. He uses RPM to make every major market decision, because when billions are on the line, you can't afford to be reactive. But listen, this isn't just for billionaires. Justin Fox lost his daughter, the kind of grief that breaks most people. But he used RPM to turn that pain into purpose, creating a memorial run and high school cross-country meet that honors her legacy and impacts hundreds of young athletes every year. Gina was diagnosed with cancer. Facing the fight of her life, she knew she needed absolute clarity. RPM gave her that roadmap. And 1 year later, her doctor called with the news: cancer-free. She credits RPM with giving her the mental framework to reach the other side. Joe Gebbia used RPM to turn a crazy idea into Airbnb, now valued at over $80 billion. Scott Harrison went from New York City nightclub promoter to founder of Charity Water, bringing clean water to over 15 million people worldwide. These aren't lucky breaks. This is what happens when you stop asking, what do I do? And start asking, what am I creating? Now let me ask you something. If this system is so powerful, why doesn't everyone know about it? Well, for decades, RPM was locked away, only accessible through Tony's high-level business seminars. CEOs paying $10,000 or more to attend, elite entrepreneurs, professional athletes. It was the operating system of the ultra-successful. But here's what you need to understand. Every single morning, you wake up and your brain automatically asks, what do I need to do today? And that one question, that automatic pattern, is silently destroying your potential. Because the moment you ask, what do I need to do? You hand off control of your life to someone else. Your inbox dictates your morning. Your calendar controls your afternoon. Urgency hijacks your evening. You know the feeling, don't you? The hamster wheel you can't seem to get off. You're reacting, not creating. You're busy, not effective. You're grinding, not growing. This is why so many driven, talented, hardworking people feel stuck, despite doing everything they're supposed to do. Your brain has been wired to optimize for activity instead of achievement. And until you change the questions your brain is asking, nothing else will change. But here's the good news. Tony realized the same principles that help billionaires scale empires can help anyone design an extraordinary life. So he transformed RPM from an elite seminar-only system into something accessible to everyone. The RPM Fast Track course gives you the exact framework Tony uses to manage 110 plus businesses, serve millions of people, and maintain what matters most in his life. So here's what you get. The Life Design Blueprint. Tony walks you through uncovering what truly matters to you while eliminating the hidden time wasters and misaligned goals that have been sabotaging your progress. It's like reverse engineering your brain so you finally understand why you've been stuck. The foundational RPM system. You'll learn how to shift from what do I do to what do I want to achieve? Why does it matter? What's my massive action plan? This is the same outcome-focused thinking that Tony teaches to Navy SEALs, Fortune 500 executives, and championship athletes. Mental models for breakthroughs. These are the goal-setting principles and mindset strategies Tony has refined over the last 48 years. This isn't theory. This is what actually works. For example, Amber Galloway went from burnt-out interpreter to passionate entrepreneur, empowering deaf communities nationwide. People are using RPM to launch businesses, hit financial milestones, transform their health, become leaders, and finally eliminate the overwhelm that held them back for years. This system works for any goal: career, business, relationship, health, wealth, because RPM isn't about what you're trying to do. It's about how you think. Listen, before now, if you wanted to learn this system, you'd need to fly across the country to one of Tony's live events, invest thousands of dollars, dedicate multiple days. But Tony wanted to make this accessible. You can get instant access to the complete RPM Fast Track course for just $47. That includes all 4 video modules where Tony personally walks you through the system, complete strategy breakdowns, guided exercises to implement RPM immediately, bonus planning tools, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. Think about this. What would it be worth to finally have a proven system that puts you in control, to stop reacting to urgency and start creating what actually matters, to eliminate the overwhelm that's been slowing you down, maybe your entire life? Once you learn RPM, you can apply it to achieve any goal you set your mind to. So right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can move on and go back to your to-do list, back to the grind, back to the hamster wheel of life, back to asking, what do I need to do today? And watching your biggest dreams stay stuck on tomorrow. Or you can make a different choice. Now is the time you stop managing tasks and start designing outcomes. Now is the time you learn the system that built billion-dollar companies and transformed millions of lives. Now is the time you take back control. Imagine 30 days from now, you wake up and instead of that familiar weight of overwhelm, you feel clear, crystal clear. You know exactly what matters. You know exactly what you're creating, and every action you take is pulling you towards your vision. Instead of reacting to urgency, you're generating unstoppable momentum. Instead of feeling scattered, you're focused, operating at a level you didn't know you were capable of, because every action you take has purpose. Every day has meaning. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you change the question your brain asks. Sure, you can keep managing your to-do list, grinding away at tasks that don't move the needle. Or you can learn the same system that helped build Salesforce, Airbnb, and transform millions of lives across the world. The question is, will you? Click below and get instant access for $47.